What's going on, everybody? B Sky here with
GOD.
And on today's show, we got the waivers. Week 7's over. We got a Monday night matchup. Chicago Bears, Los Angeles Rams. Obviously, we know the Rams are better than the Bears. The Bears are a very suspect 5-1 team anyway. They have great defense.
Bad news, foes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're going to look at the waivers. Some players that should hopefully help you, especially this week. Some huge streamers, but long term, had some injuries, stuff like that. So, keep it locked and loaded right here at the first 4 downs.
Yeah. Drop it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. B Scott and GOD here, and we're going over the waiver wire. Week 7's over. Some huge games, some great games.
It was a beast weekend. It finally felt like it's actual football. I mean, shit, we even had a snow game.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So, it's time to start looking at the weather report. But
yeah, for real.
So there was some injuries, key injuries to some players. Kenyon Drake got hurt. That's not that big a deal. I mean, I'm kind of glad now I could drop him off a fantasy.
I mean, the guy came in the season hurt. He upset a lot of fantasy owners, but you have to realize he came in the league this year on a walking boot. So, I mean, I think that was the key part of his not being so productive. But, you know, after that blow-up game last week against Dallas, you would expect a little bit more here. But, man, it's just over. So, you know, it's actually Chase Edmonds' season finally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if you've been following football through the offseason, we knew that it was probably a matter of time before he took it over. But here we are. So, you know what I'm saying, halfway through the season. If you got Chase Edmonds now, you're great. But if not, I will be trying to trade for him, to be honest with you. You look at a spread offense like that, that's probably a top 10 offense. You want to be tied to that running back in that system. So, you know, that's one guy that I really like. But, you know, looking back to the games, I'm looking at that Tampa Bay game. Brady threw 5 touchdowns. Baker threw 5 touchdowns. The game of the week to me, though, you know what I'm saying, like, was a very competitive one. You look at that Pittsburgh Steelers-Tennessee game. Tennessee should have won that game.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to me, man. But, you know.
Gostowski missed the field goal to tie it.
Yeah.
So, lots of great games, absolutely. Chase Edmonds, if he's not owned in your league, before we get to the waivers, pick him up, period. He should be the number one waiver if he's not owned in your league. That's in my opinion. Yeah. So, before we get to the waiver wire, don't forget, like the video, subscribe, share it, thumb bell, all the good stuff. We're here for you. Like I said, talk to us. Let us know what you want to hear.
Yep.
We'll get right to the waiver wire. Quarterbacks. We're going to start at the top. Now, this week, a lot of streaming quarterbacks. At this point in the season.
There's a couple good quarterbacks out. You know, you got Kyler out. You got Deshaun Watson out. You got the mustache. I mean, Kyle Allen, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You're not really stashing him right there. But all those guys and their offensive components on that team, on those teams. So, you know, there's a lot of things to be had here. But quarterbacks, who you got number one?
The number one quarterback this week for my stream, Derek Carr.
Yeah.
It's a tough place to go. They're going on the road against the Cleveland Browns. You saw last week, Joe Burrow. They were in that shootout game. Derek Carr. Outside of week 1, last five games that he's played, multiple touchdowns, passes, period. He's getting it done. He's actually looking pretty good. He's really throwing the ball downfield to Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's getting it done with the receivers he's got.
That's what I'm saying. If I got a guy like Deshaun Watson out or Kyler out, I will be surely streaming Carr easily over whatever is out there right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you going to pick up DiNucci? Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a guy that we should probably talk about because, you know, there are still a lot of elite weapons on that team. You know what I mean? So maybe he just comes out of nowhere and just beats. But
yeah, I don't trust the Dallas Cowboys at all right now.
Yeah, that offensive line is terrible.
The whole team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, Derek Carr, he's my number one stream. Number 2, Teddy Bridgewater, only owning 44% of leagues, Yahoo leagues. Plays the Atlanta Falcons. 312 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was just 3 weeks ago against Atlanta.
Yeah, that's built for shootout.
Another good start right here. So, Teddy Bridgewater, definitely get him in your lineups, especially as a stream. And my third quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, San Francisco 49ers. I get it. This is like... he could be very bad or very good in my opinion. That's how it works.
I told you that Niner game was going to go like that.
Yeah, so,
you know.
Anyway, Garoppolo, he's got most of the weapons healthy. Debo is pretty much already ruled out. You know what I mean? They're hurting at the running back position. A lot of the guys are on IR. You don't know if Tevin Coleman's coming back. They're playing Seattle. In Seattle. They're probably going to have to throw the football to win this game. I mean, they're not just going to be able to play defense and run the ball against Seattle.
I think they can, but you know what? I think that you know, with Debo being out, it's hard for me to trust Ayuk being the number one receiver over there. I think they're going to do the same thing. They're going to run the ball a lot and depend on Kittle off the dink and dunk. You know what I'm saying? And, I think there's a safe floor there for him to get 20 fantasy points, though. You know what I'm saying? For you, if you're really in a tight spot and you need that. But Seattle, I mean, I don't know if they can keep up scoring with Seattle. You know what I'm saying? But who's to say? That defense is pretty good. So who's to know if Seattle could even actually be effective, given that Carson is going to be out. You got Travis Homer, who's explosive. He's going to be out of this game. So, you never know what happens. Jimmy Garoppolo could be the elite game manager this week and blow up and get you 25, 30 points.
Yeah, he's got a chance. Another thing, we could talk a little bit about Baker Mayfield. Maybe he's cursed. The OBJ curse has been lifted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every game, OBJ is out. Second snap of the game, what happens?
It's real.
You know what I mean? He throws 5 touchdowns with no...
The people you never heard
Peoples
of.
Jones, who's that guy? Game-winning touchdown, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Either way, Baker Mayfield, they're playing the Las Vegas Raiders this week. Maybe he's a guy you might be able to stream also.
Yeah.
Another guy. I mean, he hasn't been great this season, but he's coming off 5-touchdown game. They're utilizing the tight ends. You saw 3 tight end touchdowns. Maybe.
And especially if you drop Jarvis Landry, you should probably go back and pick him up because he played on 27 to 28 of his drop back. So, you know what I mean? It just shows that he's going to be there to be targeted. You know what I'm saying? The dude is the elite slot anyway, so, go get him.
Yeah, of course. So, a couple mentions, Justin Herbert, Carson Wentz. If they're available in your league, just pick them up. I'm sorry. He's got a top 10 quarterbacks, for the rest of the season, in my opinion. Guys, I would just plug and play versus anybody.
Yeah, you already know the upside with Justin Herbert. He's throwing dimes downfield. I mean, that kid is something special, and that is what it is. He should probably be starting on your roster every week.
Yeah.
Almost, you know what I'm saying, depending on the matchup. He had a crazy kiss against the Giants, and you know what I'm saying. He's an absolute playmaker. You got Jalen Reagor supposed to be coming back off his IR injury or whatever, and Fulgham, he still looks like a beast. So you know what I'm saying. So pick up those guys, and not to mention Dallas Goedert's coming back. So his uptick is trending upward. Period. You know what I'm saying. So they're gonna be in a lot of shootouts regardless. I mean, they're leading the division right now, and not in a very good way. So if they can get more pass catchers on that field. That's just a bonus.
Yeah, of course. So that's the quarterbacks that we're talking about this week for the waivers. We can move to the wide receivers. A few big-name wide receivers. I'm going to throw out Brandon Ayuk first.
Okay.
Deebo Samuel's out. They're playing the Seattle Seahawks. Absolutely horrible secondary. We know it. Giving up the most passing, the most yards to wide receivers, period. I would have some shares in Brandon Ayuk, especially this week. Streaming no matter what.
I would stream him, you know what I'm saying? But I worry about him more or less getting the top coverage rather than secondary coverage. With a guy like Deebo Samuel's out, you know what I'm saying? Can he really produce in that spot?
Yeah, you know what? I just think if this game gets into where they need to score some points, they're going to be able to beat him through the air. Ayuk's going to see enough targets. Now, is Ayuk going to have 10 targets, 12 targets? Maybe not. Probably not. But could he get you 7, 8 good targets? And he can make plays out of the backfield running the ball, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, he's just a playmaker, in my opinion. He's a guy I would have on, definitely in this week. And possibly, who knows? Debo's looking at a 1 to 2 week injury possibly with the hamstring, but you never know. When you have an injury, it tends to lead to another injury. You know what I'm saying? It's like you favor one side and, stuff happens. So we can move on. Rashad Higgins, Cleveland Browns. I'm going to mention him
every year.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to mention him. Six catches on 6 targets for over 100 yards. OBJ's out. Yeah. And in my opinion, Landry is going to play a slot role no matter what. So Higgins is probably going to be the number 1 outside receiver. Now, yes, they'll mix and match. There's the Peoples Jones or whatever the guy's name is.
Tight end,
and the tight ends. Yeah, Bryant, David Njoku, Austin Hooper will be back. So just a wide receiver that could be a viable option. They're playing the Las Vegas Raiders this week. That's a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, that ACL tear for Odell is just a hard thing to even see, just being how prolific he has been in the NFL since he came through day one. But, it's hard to wonder what his fantasy production will be, for the rest of his career, to be honest with you. But hopefully you get well soon, and hopefully we see you back on the field.
Yeah, of course. So, another receiver we can talk about, Cole Beasley.
Yeah, Cole Beasley been
the low-key
beasting.
That's what I'm saying.
All year.
11 catches, 112 yards. Buffalo's offense is kind of bogged down at the moment. They can't run the ball effectively, and what it's causing for them.
I'll tell you about that Jets game, though.
I get it. What I'm telling you is they can't run the ball, so what it's causing them to do is them to be able to play better coverage in the secondary. And if you can't run the ball and you play better coverage, don't get me wrong, Diggs is a great receiver, but even outside of Diggs, no John Brown. They got a rookie in Gabriel Davis. Cole Beasley underneath. He's going to get fed all day. That's what's happening.
So it's like, you look at that, with those guys being out, and Cole Beasley already on the year has only had one game under 6 targets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's actually been producing pretty well, even better than he was producing in Dallas, to be honest with you. So, I mean, he's a viable low floor kind of. I mean, or pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, not low floor. He got a pretty solid floor.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? I would be streaming him if if I had a Hopkins out or something. If I was really in dire need of a guy, he's more than a guy. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
absolutely.
He's out there really doing it. So, and especially tied to that offense.
Yeah,
You know what I
of
mean?
course. I actually wavered him in my 12-man league because I need wide receiver depth. Period.
Right on.
And Beasley,
Yeah.
he's getting the love. I'm
I
telling
remember
you.
one year I started Cole Beasley out of nowhere, and he had like 25 fantasy points. It was like, what?
Yeah,
This is crazy.
two touchdowns, all that stuff. And Buffalo defense is also struggling too. So Cole Beasley, definitely a viable option. So there's a few more receivers we can mention and bring up. Sterling Shepard, first off, you saw it Thursday Night Football. 6 catches, 59 yards, touchdown. Coming into the season, there was a lot of hype around his name, saying that he was looking good. He was burning the secondary period. We didn't really get to see it. He got hurt again, like always.
Yeah.
So Shepard is a guy, in my opinion, take it while it's hot. If he's going to be on the field, he could let you down, or he could have a pretty solid
Yeah,
day.
he has that skill set. I mean, it's just like if he can stay healthy, and honestly, if he could have a better quarterback, it'd be a lot better. But
of course,
you got to roll with what you got.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, your quarterback was wide open for an 80-yard touchdown, and it's just turf monster got him.
I know, I'm telling you. But yeah, Shepard,
That's crazy.
he's definitely an option. If he was dropped, he's only on 30% of leagues. So
Yeah.
Another guy we talk about, Denzel Mims,
Yeah, he looked good.
New York Jets.
Finally got on the field out of Baylor. That guy is a playmaker. He's very underrated, and given like that offense, they're going to be in negative game script a lot.
Yep.
The problem is they're going to be in negative game script a lot because their quarterback is Sam Darnold. So, I mean, that's a 50-50 throw up to me. You know what I mean? You don't know how many targets he's going to actually carry every week. You don't know his floor, but he's a playmaker for sure. If you want to sleep on him, go ahead.
Yeah, of course. You never know what's going to happen. His first game back, and he had 7 targets. That tells me it's good. James Crowder was out of the game.
And then Bashar Perriman, he went out with a concussion.
Yeah.
And they was hitting him like early, so I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, Nelson Aguilar, 3 straight games with the touchdowns, Las Vegas Raiders. Can you trust on it? Not necessarily, but hey, Derek Carr.
Because you just know his history.
Hey, Derek Carr likes to throw a touchdown to one receiver every single week for like 5 straight weeks. Last year it was, Tyrell Williams. This year it looks like it's Nelson Aguilar.
That could be true.
They're playing the Cleveland Browns. It's a spot if you got to take a chance with the receiver this week.
Yeah, because that secondary has not played up to its potential. You think about the draft equity that they have in that defense, drafting Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, and guys like that. It's like it's not living up to what it's supposed to be. So any pass catcher pretty much on that team that's got a 1 or 2 wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 target share on that team, I'm like pretty much starting them against that football team.
Yeah, absolutely. Henry Ruggs also. That's another guy we can talk about. You never know. He's a stash. He's a stash at this point.
It's hard for right now because I feel like they're just hitting them on deep plays. You know what I'm saying? They're not really hitting them across the way they should be utilizing them. But, I mean, it's giving light for Derek Carr, but it's not giving light for Josh Jacobs, who feeds off the passes. I think that's ultimately why his passes is down this year, because they're throwing the ball longer more this year.
Yeah, of course. So, last receiver we can mention, probably picked up. He's probably owned in 70, 80% of leagues. Antonio Brown.
Yeah, hey,
you know what I mean? I'm sorry.
Come on, we booming in Tampa. Let's go.
If he's available in your league, you should probably pick him up. I mean, there's a lot of pass catchers. They got a lot of mouths to feed, but it's still Antonio Brown.
There's still some legal stuff going on, and hopefully he makes it to week 9 where he's able to play. So we'll see there. You know what I'm saying? So just I will be drafting him first over everybody on this, to be honest with you. That's AB. You know what it is. With Tom Brady in that spread offense, they booming. Tampa Bay, go get him, but just stash him until week 9 until you know he comes back.
Yep. So we can move to the running backs. We already talked a little bit about Chase Edmonds. If he's available, just pick him up. Period. Carlos Hyde. Chris Carson, looking week to week right now, according to Pete Carroll, mid-foot sprain.
Yeah.
Carlos Hyde, the only healthy running back on the roster, played pretty well last week.
Yeah.
He really did. He looked all right. And we know he can run between the tackles.
That's what I'm saying. He had 1,000 yards last year pretty much. So, I mean, in that offense, he should be able to come in. He had a couple of great runs in his game, to be honest with you. So, I think he's a plug and play, to be honest with you.
Yep, absolutely. Carlos Hyde. He'd probably be the number 1. Number 2, I would say, Gio Bernard. Going against the Las Vegas Raiders. You saw last week, Uncle Gio. He worked it out with a touchdown. He got it
the
done.
old school porn star mustache. It's ridiculous.
I'm telling you. So he worked it out with a touchdown. He had 5 or 6 receptions in that game. clear 50 yards receiving, that's good. You know, in an offense where they're going to throw the ball, you already know what's going to happen. So he has an opportunity with Joe Mixon possibly missing this week.
Yeah, I think Mixon will probably miss till after the bye. To be honest with you, because their bye is like what, 9?
Yeah.
So I think he'll just sit out 2 weeks, and you get Mixon. I mean, you get Giovanni Bernard in that offense where you know they're going to throw it. You look at Burrow this week. You know what I'm saying, 400 yards, four touchdowns. They're going to keep throwing the ball. So get Gio in there.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely a guy that you can plug if Joe Mixon's still out. And then we can look at the Ravens' backfield. Probably in our 10-man league, all 3 of them are on the waiver right now.
Yeah,
no one's working out. I don't
probably
know.
in a 14-man league, they all 3 on there. Yeah,
I'm telling you, the offensive line isn't playing great, but you're still looking at probably a top 3 or 4 in that range rushing offense. Period. Now I know the line isn't putting it together, but they know how to run the football.
So of course, I think coming fresh off a bye, you know what I'm saying. I think they put it together a little bit better. You know what I'm saying. The next 3 games a little bit difficult for a running back to run out of that system. I still think Mark Ingram has a lot of value there. They love him a lot. He's a locker room guy. He's going to get those touches. You know what I'm saying. Yeah. I think Gus Edwards, he's a downhill runner, just A and B. You know what I'm saying. Just run straight through the tackles.
Yep.
That's one of those guys. I think Dobbins is an outstanding player. You know what I'm saying. If he can get it together in his rookie season, you know, he could be in for a full workload. You taking your pick on which one is going to start next week, that's up to you.
Yeah, of course. They're also playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to say
they're
not.
What I'm saying. It's tough.
I think they're second in the league at yards per game, just because Tampa just shut down Josh Jacobs. So, in my opinion, I would be looking to add J.K. Dobbins just for the upside, in my opinion. And J.K. Dobbins, he's had some opportunities to run the ball, but
has not done nothing with
you know what? They're coming out of a bye. A lot of teams coming out of the bye, all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? DeAndre Swift, you saw that.
I think when it comes down to rookie running backs like that, you know, coaches tend to lean on guys who they can trust. Yep. And I think given that in the past 2 seasons, Gus Edwards still has come in on limited roles and, you know, been very productive. I think they trust him more than they trust Dobbins at this point, given that Mark Ingram could be out with a mid to high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
They're saying it's not very severe. So, I mean, I in the pecking order, I think when Mark Ingram comes back, he still has his role.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean. No one's outplayed him.
Yeah.
So these are guys I would stash, in my opinion. Gus Edwards is not necessarily a stash to me. If you're going to pick him up and play him this week against Pittsburgh Steelers, you can take a chance. I would stay away from him.
He's a bruiser.
I know he is, but it's Pittsburgh, man.
Yeah, I feel it.
You know what I mean? They just shut down Derrick Henry last week. So that is ultimately the running backs.
Yeah.
And we could look at just a few tight ends. I'm going to throw some names out there. Richard Rodgers. Thursday night, 6 catches, 85 yards. Philly. They're going to have to throw the football. They're also playing the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
So that's a good matchup.
I'm playing anybody on Dallas.
Exactly. And tight ends. You're throwing darts. I mean, you can pick up anybody and play anybody at this point. Everyone's getting 5 points for tight ends. So a couple other names, Dallas Goedert. Look to see when he comes off IR. Pay attention to that news.
Logan Thomas got it done.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
David Njoku, we talked about him a little bit. Cleveland Browns. And Harrison Bryant.
Yeah.
They have 3 touchdowns. Cleveland's going to throw to the tight ends. So, and they play the Las Vegas Raiders. So
right on.
That's been the waiver wire for week 8. So for the first 4 downs, it's been B. Scott,
G.O.D.
and we out.